You're recording yourself?
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We're gonna go ahead and get started. For your due now, you should be on the one pager, not the big document packet. For your due now, there's a couple things. There's 4 steps really. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, and then the big question. Okay, so for number 1, you're just gonna take a guess. Like this is totally guessing at this point. You guys haven't read any of this thing, but you're gonna look at like the different goods and foods and like decide which ones are from basically Africa and Europe and Asia, and which ones are from the Americas, so North and South Americas. Just guessing. Number 2, answer the situational question. So what would you do? Same thing for number 3. And then for number 4, so if you guys aren't sure, the Columbian Exchange is basically, we're going to learn about that today in class all day. But that's like when Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, and the Americas and Europe started trading. So you're gonna answer like, what do you think so far? Like, is that gonna be a good thing, or is that gonna be a bad thing? Okay. So let's take like 3 minutes to answer those 4 questions. Most of these are just like guesses and inferences for right now, and then later in class we're gonna get some evidence to back up some new opinions and conclusions at the end of class. Okay. So we're gonna take 3 minutes. You should be working silently on that. I'm gonna take attendance, and then we will get started. Looks like most of us are finishing up on the second question. It'll take about another 2 minutes to answer the third and fourth. You will need your notebooks today, so please, if you haven't already taken out your notebook, take that out now and label your notes. We're going to take a second to share with your partners your answers to number 2 and 3. Okay? So you're going to share with your partner for about a minute, take like 30 seconds for each partner. And then once you've shared with your partner, we're going to share out whole class, so be ready to share your thoughts with the class. Okay, so go ahead and take 1 minute with your partners, discuss your answers to questions. We can do 1, 2, and 3. Okay? But really, most importantly, 2 and 3. Alright, go ahead and get started, please. So I read for getting started right away.
And then she
Alright, sounds like we discussed. Take like 10 more seconds if you haven't, both partners haven't gone. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and discuss as a class. So, number 2, imagine that you were a trader in the 1500s. Your goal is to make as much wealth or money as possible. So, would you earn more wealth by trading manufactured goods like guns and furniture, or raw goods like wood and sugar cane? Let's hear from Brianna.
Me?
Yeah. So, what do you think would make more money, selling like manufactured goods or raw goods?
I'll say raw goods.
Okay. Why did you say raw goods?
What if they were nomadic, so like they didn't stay in the same spot, so like why would they get furniture if they're always moving?
Can you say that again one more time?
No, I'm not repeating.
Okay, let's hear from somebody else then. Alejandra, what do you think would make more money, selling manufactured goods or raw goods? Okay, why do you say that you'd make more money selling raw goods? Lydia?
I said like manufactured goods, like anybody can make it. But like raw goods, like there's only certain places where certain foods grow. So like, it's not like you can get it.
No, mister, I'm gonna repeat my answer, because like I had a good answer. You just trying to make me feel insecure about it.
I wanted you to repeat it before. I'd love to hear it. Go ahead.
I said they were so raw goods, because like, what if they were nomadic, like they were always moving? So like, why would they get nice furniture if like they were always moving, you know?
Alright, so we gotta think too though, we're in the 1500s now. Okay? So we are, like, imagine that, like, this is past the Middle Ages, right? This, people, like, definitely are not, like, mostly nomadic anymore. People, like, mostly live in towns, cities, things like that. Let's just, like, take a break real quick and make sure you have your notes out, and we're gonna define, I think, like, we need to clarify what these two things are, okay? So, raw goods are, like, we can describe them as being, like, one ingredient. Okay? Raw goods are made up of one ingredient. Okay? So, like, an example of a raw good could be like a banana. Okay? How many ingredients are in a banana?
30.
One. Bananas are made of bananas. Right? Okay. What's another example of a raw good, Gail?
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. Sure.
They sell mustard back then?
Okay. Mustard, I believe, has more than one ingredient. But a mustard seed, this is actually a really good example, okay? A mustard seed would be a raw material, right? However, mustard spread Okay, we'll call it a spread. I don't know, or mustard sauce. Okay, mustard. Right, like what you would buy in the store. In the store is made up of like the main ingredient is mustard seeds, right? But they also like add things to it, like I think like vinegar and I don't really know all the ingredients in mustard, right? But if you look at the back of the mustard bottle, right, it doesn't just say like mustard seed. It says like maybe like 2 or 3 things.
That chemical, like
I like the mustard. That's
Okay.
tiny.
Here's some other examples of like raw goods. Okay, so we'd have like wood. Okay, wood, gold, iron,
Turkey.
turkey. I'm trying to get away from food for a second. What else?
Jesus beer.
Like fish. That's food, I guess.
And what for the cream?
Okay. And then so like, what things do we make out of wood? And what could we combine wood and iron? Like what would we make? What? A sword. Good. So a sword. Right. A sword might be like. You take the iron, right, and then you work on it in the factory. You might add like some gold to it, or you might add some jewels to it, right? And you take those ingredients, you combine them, and you have a manufactured good. So including here like multiple
raw goods.
ingredients. All right, and now let's think back to our question that we answered before, right? And we're saying like, what would you sell if you wanted to make more money? Would you sell raw goods or manufactured goods? What's going to cost more to make? Manufactured goods, because you have to like get multiple ingredients. So therefore, like, what would cost more to buy? Manufactured goods again, right? So like, manufactured goods you sell for a higher price. You sell it for more than raw goods, right? So this would make you more money.
So that's why like in Applebee's, seasoned shrimp. Is that like a manufactured good?
Yes, so I was actually just going to say, like, it's kind of like going to a restaurant, right? If you go to the grocery store and you buy like a bunch of chicken and you buy seasonings, right? You'll have more food for cheaper, right? But if you go to a restaurant, you ask them to prepare you a meal, it costs more at the restaurant because they're like taking all the ingredients together and doing the work for you, right? Same with like buying some wood and some iron is probably cheaper than buying a gun.
What?
Right?
Wait.
But you pay more for the gun because it's already manufactured for you.
That's a lot.
So today in class we're talking about this idea of what's called mercantilism. Okay? You're going to want to write this in your notes. Mercantilism.
Let's say it as a class. How are you like work?
Okay? Mercantilism. Make sure you're listening because this is going to get a little bit complicated. This is a really important word for us to know for the rest of the year. Okay? So mercantilism is basically when like a mother country, I'll explain what that means in a second, but when you have a mother country, uses like other countries and colonies.
And
Yep. So they might be using like other independent countries, or they might be using their own colonies, right? So when the mother country uses other countries and colonies to obtain raw materials,
in exchange for manufactured goods.
not quite.
To make manufactured goods.
Yeah, so they get raw materials, right, to make manufactured goods.
In order to create.
To sell back
Oh, that's fine.
Dang, mister.
to the smaller countries.
word as like?
You guys probably have learned about this a little bit before, right? So basically what's happening here, right, is you have, for example, right, we all know that the United States used to be British colonies. Okay?
Yes.
So, so here are the British colonies, right?
Yes.
So, and then here's Britain over here,
Yes.
right? So Britain would import, I mean, they would get raw materials like lumber, iron, tobacco, right? And they would take those things, they have all these factories in Britain, right?
Yes.
Make them into manufactured goods, and then sell them back to the colonies.
What?
So the colonies are selling them goods like for cheap, right? And then Britain sells them expensive manufactured goods, right? And that way they're able to kind of exploit the colony, and the mother country gets most of the money.
What's the mother countries like?
Is Florida peninsula?
Yes.
I was confused.
When are we starting
Wait, so the mother countries
After this week.
So that's
So it's
So
gonna
our,
be
our,
Spain.
yeah,
We're gonna have a certain every class.
Okay, so let me explain what's going on.
So we have a summer there Friday?
Yes.
oh,
Okay.
awesome.
So a couple of announcements.
Man, cheeky bonbon.
So today we're going to start getting ready for what we're going to call a LARP. Does anybody know what a LARP is?
Debate.
What's a LARP? Okay. So a LARP is when we're going to take on roles of a character, and then you guys are going to play that role.
But I forgot what's movie called.
It's like theater. We're going to reenact a simulation,
I forgot what the movie
and we're going to have roles. Okay?
What's it called, mister?
A LARP.
No, the movie.
Role models.
There you go.
LARP stands for live action role play.
That was a good movie.
Okay, our purpose today, though, is to look at how European expansion led to mercantilism and changed economics, society, culture. Okay, so really what we're talking about today is like when Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas and how that impacted trade between the New World and the Old World. Okay, just a quick note, if you're missing a lot of homework, okay, you're signed up for tutoring today. We're going to work on our homework together.
I'm good.
Last day to turn homework in is this Friday. Okay, that's the day of our summative. After this Friday, you won't be able to turn in missing homeworks from this unit, so make sure you're coming in to get them done.
That's cat. What bump
And
is?
then we can still do corrections, right, for those.
Yeah, I still need to grade those.
No, for the one we just.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. My tutoring is in Building 1 library right there. Okay, right across the hall. So if you're missing homeworks, come in to get those done. Okay. So on your do now, you guys took guesses on like what would be, what came from where. Okay.
They look like the stars.
Irene. So after Columbus, guys, discovers the Americas, right? They start to trade with each other, and all these new foods come from like North America to Europe. In addition to food, some other things are exchanged as well. Irene, could you read these for the class of what's going from? This is what's going from North America to Europe. No?
Yeah. Okay, how do you say that?
They gave us our...
No, mister, I don't have to say pumpkin.
Queen?
Okay, tobacco,
Tobacco?
pumpkin, however you say that. Turkey, sweet potato, squash, avocado, pineapple, peppers, sour beans, cassava, peanut, potato, tomato, corn, beans.
Okay. And then from Europe to the Americas, Gael, what's being spread from Europe to the Americas?
Oh dang, the Black Plague.
So disease.
Oh, disease. Livestock, cattle, sheep, big horse.
Pig.
Oh, big horse.
Yeah.
Grains, wheat, rice, bakery, honeybee, some olives, some peach pig, some coffee beans, some citrus fruit, some bananas, some sugar cane, so all these raw goods, right? Most of them.
Yeah.
Wait, diseases are raw goods?
These are raw goods, yeah. So disease is not a good, right?
Oh, that's a bad. Yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, I said banana. I said honeybee. Coffee beans. What is that?
Onion.
Turnip.
Gotta love each
Turnip.
other wasted.
Turnip. Yeah, turnip.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Yes.
Alright, so think about these tacos for a second.
La tortilla
Delicious tacos.
That's soup. Look at that.
Guys,
No, it just looks different.
we need to go voice out for a second. Could these tacos have been made before Columbus arrived?
No.
Let's see. Let's avocado.
Let's look what's in the taco. So we have avocado.
No, porque no tienen
Looks like some tomato sauce.
Disease. We got some black plague up in there too.
They didn't have meat. They didn't have beans. Oh yeah, they didn't have beans.
Good. So no, right? These tacos could not have been made.
No?
So, what about this pizza?
So with the pizza.
What about the pizza? Could the pizza have been made?
Tomato. It has brownie.
Yeah.
It has
So pizza is made in Italy, right?
True. True that.
Did Italy have tomatoes before the Columbian Exchange? No. Okay.
So it could have been.
Let's make a list in our notes. Part of our Alright, you guys are taking notes now, okay? So Columbian Exchange. I'm gonna tell you right now, but I'm just waiting for a few voices to be on. David, I'm waiting for you guys over there. Okay, so the Columbian Exchange is the exchange, right? It means like people are giving and taking of like raw goods, disease, and ideas between the new and old worlds. Okay?
What do you mean by world?
I'm going to explain. It's called the Columbian Exchange because Christopher Columbus is the one who sets this thing off.
Got the N in between.
Okay? The New World, okay, New World means the Americas, so North and South America. Okay?
What? New Americas?
So when we talk about the New World and the Old World, in this context, the New World means the Americas, the Old World means Europe.
Like South America, North America, right?
Yep. Europe, Africa, and Asia.
Africa is a country.
So
I go to the back.
New World is Americas, Old World is Europe, Africa, and Asia. Okay? We're going to make a chart for class today of what were the benefits, so like plus sign, and what were the negatives of this trait. So we've already discussed right now like some of the benefits. Some of the benefits, right? So like what are some of the benefits? Look on the screen. Pizza.
Oh. No, pizza gives you diabetes.
But it's delicious, right?
Yes.
So really when we're talking about pizza though, we're talking about like new foods. New foods, okay? What are some of the other good things that are being exchanged here?
Ramen?
Taco.
What about the livestock?
No, that kills the environment.
Cow. Milk.
Milk.
Think about our last, when we talked about the Aztecs, right? Did the Aztecs have cattle and sheep and pigs? What was the effect on their farming?
Domestic animals.
Time out. Hold on. All right. This is my fault.
Yes, it is.
Miss, I don't understand.
I guess anyone.
So I'm gonna call on people because we have too many voices at once.
All y'all want.
Y'all are somebody.
Birdie, hold up. Howell.
Don't talk to me.
The Aztecs didn't have big, large animals like cattle and pigs and things like that, right? So
Broke my
how would that benefit Native Americans of getting those animals like cows and pigs and sheep?
They get more food.
Shh, I'm asking Howell. Okay, so like new food, right? So like what would new food lead to though?
Diabetes.
If you're living off a diet of like, you pretty much just eat like a vegetarian diet, right? Are you gonna be like very muscular?
A very
Probably not.
very healthy.
Luis? I should just hear Luis right now. Only hear Luis. Hey. Okay, Luis, what would be some of the other benefits of this?
It led to like a more complex diet and like more nutrition.
Good. So, more nutritious diet. Okay, we have a more nutritious diet, right?
Yes.
Which leads to longer life. Okay, longer life leads to population increase. All right. What might though be some of the negative impacts
I got it.
based on the chart here? Where to go ahead? Okay. Gaia, what's one of the negative things that might take place here?
Disease.
Yep, so
And then diabetes.
disease is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Disease is a big one here.
What else? That's it, right?
Violence.
Violence.
Maybe.
Competition.
In your document packet, I want you guys to flip to document number 3. In this document packet, flip to document number 3. Even there. Document number 3 shows this map. Document 3 shows this map. I want you guys to add to your list what are some of the positive things that are happening and what are some of the negative things that are happening in this new trade caused by the Columbian Exchange. Okay, so add to your list in your notes, what are the positive things that are happening? What are the negative things that are happening? We'll take 2 minutes and then be ready to share out with the class your answers. 2 minutes adding to your list, positive and negative impacts of Columbian Exchange.
Are humans raw good?
They could be. What about some other
Oh, I'm so hungry. You practice that?
You should just be reading silently yourself right now.
Why so?
This is document.
Document 3, please.
Mister, what does it say?
When your eyes.
Did you see?
Extra loud.
It's 5 probably. There's a lot of triangles.
Sleep.
What is that? It's a butterfly.
No.
I see Morgan Freeman. Sugar.
Something sugar. When you make sugar. What is it? Anything sugar is sugar.
All right, so we already have disease as a negative.
I got no negative.
Hold on a second, now.
By a big This smell is this is Jordy
Jackie, what's another negative impact of this Columbian exchange? Yeah, so we have slavery. So slavery going up.
Great answer though.
So by raising hands, okay, is there any other positive or negative impacts that we should add to our list based on the map? Just by raising hands. Okay, Gail?
The increase of manufactured goods.
Okay, so that's a good thing, right?
Sometimes.
So we have more manufactured goods.
Come on, you thought I didn't know.
That's going to make people's lives easier, so generally like, we can consider that a good thing. Okay? Anything else we should add? Just by raising a hand?
PlayStations.
Cool. I think we have the major ones listed, so we're good.
I think you should know.
Okay. All right, we're going to start exploring this idea of like what actually happened during the Columbian Exchange a little bit more by looking at some documents together. Okay? So flip to your document package. Just go ahead and go to the first page.
What, the very beginning?
The very beginning, first page.
No, the last.
What's up? Just leave your notebook out because it will help you later when you're doing your mastery check. All right, we're going to start by doing the background read together. All right, get ready to read the background read. Can I have Kaylee start us off there? Where it says background.
The term Columbian exchange refers to the exchange of biological commodities and ideas between the Old World and the New World as a result of the European voyages of exploration that started with Christopher Columbus.
Okay, stop there. So again, this word Columbian exchange, we already defined it in our notes, but just remember it gets its name from Christopher Columbus.
You know his real name was Cristobal Colon?
Okay. Let's see. DNA, can you pick up from after Christopher Columbus, please? On the third line, biological commodities.
Biological commodities means living things, or things that were once alive. Examples would include domestic animals, agricultural products, microbes, bacteria, and viruses, even people whom slaves were actually treated as commodities to be bought or sold and sold. Prior to 1492, many of these biological commodities have never crossed the ocean. When the two hemispheres finally come into contact, the Columbian exchange would dramatically and permanently affect human societies and the natural environment of both sides of the ocean. Our task is to decide whether these changes were beneficial or harmful to the planet Earth. The documents below illuminate two sides of an important argument of how societies interact.
Okay, so our task for the rest of the class today is to figure out, was the Columbian exchange more of a net loss or a net gain? So basically, like, are we better off because of it, or are we worse off because of the Columbian exchange? Okay. Flip over to the next page. Go to document number 4. And as we're reading, I want us to think about. Is this document giving us evidence that the Columbian exchange made us better off, or did it make us worse off. Okay. So let's take a look at our document here. It says the crimes of Christopher Columbus. Okay, so based on the title, do we have a positive or negative view of Christopher Columbus here?
Negative.
Freddie, why is it negative?
Because it says the crime.
Right, so this is like obviously a clue that this is going to be a negative document. Because it's saying that Christopher Columbus committed crimes. Okay, let's look at our graph. Hello, could you read the title of our graph for us?
Estimated Native American population.
Okay, so we have the population of Native Americans in Mexico. Okay, Zayla, what's happening to their population?
Increasing.
No, so it's starting at 25, right? And then it's going to 2.5. So it's decreasing, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and read a little bit about what's happening here. So we want to be thinking about central idea. Is this showing it as worse or better? Okay. Giselle, can you pick up right here?
The impact of disease, the charge of genocide is largely sustained by figures showing the
Precipitous
decline of the Indian population. Although scholars debate the exact numbers, in Alvin Joseph's estimate, the Indian population fell from between 15 and 20 million when the white man first arrived to a fraction of that 150 years later. Undoubtedly, the Indians perished in great numbers. Yet, although European enslavement of Indians in the Spanish forced labor system extracted a heavy toll in lives, the vast majority of Indian casualties occurred not as a result of hard labor or deliberate destruction, but because of contagious diseases that the Europeans transmitted to the Indians. The spread of infection and unhealthy patterns of behavior was also reciprocal. From the Indians, the Europeans contracted syphilis.
Yep.
The Indians also taught the white man about tobacco and cocaine, which would extract an incalculable human toll over the next several centuries. The Europeans, for their part, gave the Indians measles and smallpox, since the Indians had not developed any resistance or immunity to these unfamiliar ailments. They perished in catastrophic numbers.
Okay, wow. So, a lot of bad things going on in that document, right? Go ahead. I want you to go back through that document with your partner and make a quick list of what are like all the bad things that are being exchanged from the Columbian Exchange. Okay, just make a quick list. You can work with your partner. We'll take about 1 minute. Go.
Bad. I'm positive about that. What are the
The intensity.
What? Slavery?
Inside.
Was it Brandon Wick?
Mommy.
Brandon
Like,
Wick.
I'm going to
Alright, what do you say? Spanish forced labor system heavy toll in lives? Do you underline what he underlined? Yeah.
But which one is it? The one before the fact?
I think it's the one that goes or the
All right.
That's why they put my name in figures.
Let's add it to our list. Okay, so key points here. Raven, what's one bad thing that happened?
Nothing.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I should just hear Raven right now. Brianna. Good. So we have diseases like measles,
And chickenpox. I mean smallpox.
measles,
Smallpox.
smallpox.
What are large pox?
Tobacco.
Okay. Are only the natives getting the diseases?
Sometimes.
No, the Indians.
The Indians are the natives,
I'm
right?
just playing this as a joke.
No, you're not.
Are just natives getting diseases, or are the Europeans getting them too?
It was funny when you said too. Well, it says
Drop some this time.
Duncan, are just natives getting
Lots
diseases
or
or are Europeans
pox?
getting them too?
Yeah, the natives were getting them. Because the Europeans have no genes.
Okay, so yes, both sides are getting diseases, so both Europeans and natives getting diseases. Besides disease, what are some other like terrible things that are happening due to the Columbian exchange? Kaylee?
They're like food. I mean, the Indians are like taught, or like is being taught about like drugs, I guess.
So I think they said the Europeans are getting the Indians taught the white man about tobacco and cocaine, right? So like that's going to lead to drug use, right? Drug use going up, that's bad. Irene, what else?
The enslavement of Indians.
Enslavement of Indians, good.
Anyone.
You don't think that's bad?
Okay, good. Also like the death.
Never that serious.
I know. I just asked.
The death of natives, right?
No, I just.
No, I wrote that down.
All right. Hey, in the front. All right. When you're ready, flip over to the next page.
Wait, hold on, this is not yet.
I just said when you're ready.
Alright, no need for the attitude.
Brianna. You need to stop.
I know.
All right. Go to document 5. Okay. So we're gonna skip this one right now, number 4. We're just skipping down to document 5 here. I know there's 2 number 4s.
I think it's positive.
No, because you didn't do it.
So let's read it and find out. Okay.
All right.
Armando, you're gonna start us off.
Agriculture change is changing crops to be far more intricate, involved process than ever could have been imagined at the time. Remarkably, the people of America realized that crops were higher caloric value could not only feed more people but also allow people to work harder because they were more energized.
Okay, stop there. All right. So what's a good benefit that they just talked about? Kyle?
The increase of the caloric value, which enable to the people to be more energized.
Yep.
Which also enabled them to work harder, and which increased the limits that they were able to be pushed.
Good. So positive, right? We have like more nutritious food. That leads to more energy. Okay, which lets people like get more done. Yeah.
Sometimes. Oh, sweet Colorado.
Okay, so more nutritious food, more energy, more work gets done. Okay, let's keep reading. Gael, can you pick up from there?
This led to an
Adoption
of American crops by European peasantry that changed entire cuisines in various cultures and spread rapidly through the Americas, Europe, and finally Africa. An important crop in Europe was potatoes, as they could be left in the ground until they were ready to be eaten, and allowed many Europeans to evade taxes, as tax collectors did not go so far as to dig up not yet
harvested
crops. Similarly, potatoes were also a helpful crop and food source because when armies invaded and rounded up food for themselves, they were similarly unable to steal the potatoes, thereby leaving food for the European people. Animals were also a key part of the Columbian exchange. Horses, pigs, sheep, and kind of all European animals that flourished rapidly in the Americas because they were able to reproduce without being hindered by predators. Eagles were also a key animal used during ocean travels because they could not be doomed on the way to a country or place, and they picked up and eaten on the way back. The horse, too, was also a very useful animal as it helped with battle. It allowed to forward faster, what did I just say? It allowed for faster travel, allowed for the surprising components, and allowed people to fight from a higher level.
Cool. So
It's just N and CNN.
I want you guys to discuss with your neighbor and write down,
Right back.
how did animals benefit the Native Americans? Okay, specifically. And how did potatoes benefit Europeans? So potatoes
They were unable to steal potatoes.
and Europeans,
No. Where are you? Potatoes. You like potatoes?
and animals for natives. How did these things benefit each group? So go back to the document with your neighbor and add to your list here.
Potatoes, European.
How did potatoes benefit the Europeans?
Wasn't there a song called Potatoes? Yep.
Potatoes.
You can't take me serious, can you?
All right. So how did potatoes benefit Europeans?
More tax.
Luis?
Yeah, they evaded taxes and like armies weren't able to steal the potatoes, which gave the Europeans food for them.
Good. So good for like basically like potatoes you can store for a long time, right?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so that means that like you can hide them from people. You don't have to pull them out of the ground. They won't like go bad in the ground, right? So you can like save up, keeps you like sustained for a longer period of time than a crop that would go bad.
And the animal was like the key part of the Colombian
Yep.
Yup.
So how did it like more specifically though benefit Native Americans?
Animals?
Yeah.
The horse was a very useful animal and helped with battle.
Oh, yeah.
Good. So help them with battle.
And then the pigs.
Wait, so Native
Which
Americans
meant they
didn't
could
really-
fight, like, from a higher level. A higher level.
Yep. So
I have
above
a
their
question.
enemy.
I
Good.
have a question.
Question.
So, did Europeans get to, like, were influenced by Native Americans to be, like, riding on horses from the Native Americans?
Other way around. So
Oh.
horses actually didn't exist in the Americas until the Europeans showed up.
Oh.
So which is interesting, right? Because a lot of times, like when we think of Native Americans, we think of them as like riding on horseback out in the West, right? But really, like that didn't exist until the 1500s when Europeans brought horses.
Ooh. Where
Okay.
did the horses?
Help with battle, collecting food, and hunting.
Did the horses fly? Because, like, they had to travel over water.
They would ride on the boat. Ride on the boat.
No?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, boats, huh? But then they have boats with horses?
Yeah.
The horses get sick.
All right. So we're gonna move on to your mastery check. Okay. Here's what I want you guys to do. Flip over to the back page of your one-page handout. We're not doing the multiple choice. You can cross that out. Okay, so you're just answering this last question here. What's your primary response to the big question? Was the Columbian Exchange a net loss or gain? So did it like make us worse off or better off as a planet? I want you to use the word, write this here, use the word wow.
Wow.
Yes, so you're going to make a counterpoint, right? So like, decide if it's better or worse. Okay, so say like, wow, yes, this good thing happened, this bad thing happened. Or you can say like, wow, there were many like negative benefits such as like this, and this.
It sounds like you're saying wow.
Okay.
No, I don't mean it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't mean it to sound rude. But like it's
good that you stop.
Okay, you guys have 5 minutes to complete your mastery check.
Where have you gone home?
You have evidence for both sides.
Choose, just choose.
Stop it, I mean the weekend.
Dream.